Hello, everybody, and welcome to Generation Gap. I'm Gretchen. I'm joined as always by my co-host Tom.
And I'm Tom, joined as always by my co-host Gretchen.
And welcome to our first episode of Generation Gap in the new year, 2026.
Yeah.
And we're ringing in the new year with a celebration of a movie that's on both of our top 10 lists.
Yep.
1968's Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
So directed by Franklin J. Schaffner, starring Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, and Kim Hunter, is one of the giants of sci-fi history.
Yeah. It's forgotten kind of now, like especially a whole generation.
You think so?
I do. I think because when you talk about Planet of the Apes to younger people today, they're thinking the more
new
recent
ones.
Yeah, which to me pale in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to take it in its context. For that time,
1968.
Yeah, it was shocking.
1968 was a big year for sci-fi.
Yeah.
It was the same year as, of course, Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I think in hindsight, this movie gets in film history. I think it gets a little bit overshadowed by that because it was such a giant of a film.
Yeah. That's always in like the top. It's always mentioned as a top science fiction film.
I would tell you which one I'd rather sit through.
This one?
Oh yeah,
Me too. I know, and I think most people, if they're being honest, would also.
I'm one of
This is pure entertainment.
I'm one of the 4 film snobs who doesn't like Kubrick. So I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but
I'm with you on certain things. I mean, I don't automatically like it because he did it. I like Paths of Glory. I enjoy that.
okay.
If you haven't seen it, we'll have to do that.
Well, yeah,
That's
I
a
haven't
really
gotten
good
there
one.
yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was Planet of the Apes was actually an adaptation of a novel by Pierre Boulle. A book I have not read, but you have.
Yeah. He was a French writer. Spoke very little English. And they credited him, actually, I don't know if you knew that, like I think even at the award show, because Michael Wilson was still blacklisted.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I think Pierre Boulle was credited for the award, and he didn't speak any English, which was kind of surprising. Oh, maybe it was this, or it might have been, there was another film that he had inspired. It was, and he got the award for that.
Oh, really?
And he went up and he didn't speak any English.
Interesting.
It was actually, what's that one that we both loved? That, Robert Mitchum.
Bridge of the River Kwai?
Yes, that's also Pierre Boulle. By the way, did you know that he also wrote that?
No, that's
yes,
interesting.
that's by him. So forget what I just said about Michael Wilson. Whoever adapted that film, which may have been Michael, I don't think it was Michael Wilson, but whoever adapted that film was blacklisted.
Interesting.
And so Pierre Boulle accepted the Academy Award, and it was funny because he couldn't speak any English. And we're supposed to be like, wait, he wrote this screenplay, but he doesn't even speak English. How did he write the screenplay?
Interesting.
So yeah, it was pretty funny.
Planet of the Apes is a movie that kind of has become really more well known for its twist than anything else in the years since its release. So spoilers, if you haven't seen this movie, go in and watch it immediately and then come back and check in with us because we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
This was honestly this was one of the big films for both of us. I know you've said
I can tell you, yeah. This was the film that made me love film. If you don't mind, I'll just say real quick. I didn't see it when it first came out for whatever reason. It was rated G, so I guess realistically I could have seen it, but I just didn't. But I did see it 2 years later in 1970. I was 8 years old, and it was released on a double bill with Skullduggery, which is how I know the year. And if you've never heard of Skullduggery, you're not alone.
I hadn't.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad film. Although it stars Burt Reynolds, young Burt Reynolds, and Susan Clark. And it's about a missing link. So they said, go ape this weekend and see these 2 films, trying to get people in to see Skullduggery. And believe it or not, that was first. And the second feature was Planet of the Apes, which was so much better.
That's crazy.
And so when I saw the film, I loved it. The makeup, the cinematography, I thought was amazing.
Shot very well.
And the music, which we'll talk about, but the music just was incredible. And then the ending, I was so young that I didn't quite get it. And again, spoilers for a film from 1968. But when it happened, I heard an audible gasp in the theater.
Nice.
And I looked at my older sister and I said, well, what does that mean? And she said, he's on Earth. And then I gasped like, what? Well, this whole time? It was just amazing to me. And I was like, I love film. And that's when I started really becoming a fan of all kinds of films.
So I stumbled across this film after I'd already kind of been on my film discovery journey. You know, I've mentioned several times like that period when I was young, when I was like, I'm gonna watch movies, and I'm gonna love them.
Yeah.
And I'd already
some were hit or miss.
Some were hit. Yeah. This was a hit. So I'd already kind of fallen in love with film. I'd seen On the Waterfront and like a lot of these movies. I'm like, oh, this is okay. I think I'm like becoming like a deep thinker now. I started getting like, you start saying the word cinema when you're 15 and no one likes it. Like,
yeah.
But
and even movies. Sometimes I say movies, be like, it's not movies, but it is.
It's film.
It's film. I know. You don't want to be a snob like that. It's cinema.
My father recommended this. He said, check out Planet of the Apes, and I remember thinking, even back then, like I said, I couldn't have been more than 15. I remember thinking, you gotta be kidding me, Dad. Planet of the Apes sounds like the stupidest movie ever.
Yeah, it's not the greatest title.
It's not, but it didn't take me long. I think around. I can't remember at what point in the movie I was like, oh, I think this is good. Yeah. I really like this. And then
it's funny, the title is kind of irrelevant, and it fits. I mean, it is a Planet of the Apes, and it's so iconic now.
It's so like corny sci-fi considering the actual content of the film.
Yeah.
And then we had to it's funny. So that's been over 10 years now since I saw that, which is crazy to me. But my younger sister watched it because I got all these movies on DVD for Christmas, and I said we gotta watch the first one. And my middle sister had never seen it. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple points in the movie where she pretty much audibly said, she's like, what's happening? What am I watching?
Yeah.
And she even said in her review on Letterboxd, she's like, I didn't know what to make of it. This is not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
The ending, which we both talked about, I don't remember my reaction to the ending. I don't remember mine. I remember hers, partially because it was less than a month ago. But
did you know, though? Did you kind of know going in?
I don't think I knew.
Yeah.
But I think enough time has passed. Like I said, we grew up with so much sci-fi that I think we were like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I also was familiar with Rod Serling's body of work at this point.
Yeah, right.
He helped with the script. He co-scripted it.
Yeah.
And the twist at the end was that's him.
It was his, yeah.
So I think I was familiar enough with how he did stuff that I was like, okay, that tracks.
It does. I kind of wish I could see it again and not know
it. Yeah,
to see, really be aware of my reaction now, but unfortunately that time's passed.
So the story involves Charlton Heston's character Taylor.
Yeah, they give him a first name, although it's never said in the film. In the credits, it's very unusual. It does say George Taylor.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, in the credits, only at the end, but no one ever calls him George. No, it's just Taylor.
He is one of 4 astronauts who are sent out on a mission into deep space. So they're put into cryosleep or whatever they call it in this movie.
Yeah.
And when they land, they find out that the female of their crew member has died.
Yeah. Stewart.
There's a malfunction with the...
Yeah, crack was in her her glass.
And the 3 of them are now stranded on a barren desert-like planet.
Yeah.
And as they're looking for civilization in what feels like that's a long 20-minute stretch of the movie where there's nothing happening.
Yeah. But I like that. You get to see the characters a little bit. It's a very slow build.
Yep.
You see the landscape.
Yes.
And it's very barren. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what they're looking for because I like the line even Taylor says, after the ship sinks and they see it sink.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, well, we're here to stay. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out,
where
we are.
Yeah. And it seems pretty normal. It's shot actually largely in the American Midwest. I think Arizona was a big location.
Yep.
And
Colorado, Utah, all that area, yeah.
And these 3 guys, after some period of wandering around, find a group of humans.
Even before that, remember they see the scarecrows?
Yeah.
So right away they're like,
there's life here.
Someone did this. These are scarecrows. And it's funny because even in that scene, they go to check out the scarecrows, and after trekking through this desert for we don't know how long, you hear waterfall.
Yeah.
And then he's like, forget the scarecrows.
There's water.
There's water, yep.
And then...
Somebody takes their clothes, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is pretty shocking, I'll tell you, even when I saw that.
Yeah, this is G rating.
That's crazy. Yeah. And it's kind of hidden pretty well through the trees as they're looking for their clothes, but it's there, so be aware.
And they stumble across this group of humans who don't really, they're not humans like us. They're
very primitive.
Yeah.
They're us.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And while they're kind of reeling from the realization there's people here, all of a sudden these group of humans are hunted and tracked down by...
And even that scene.
That's insane.
Such a great scene. And even because you hear that ram's horn.
Yeah.
That sound.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everything stops.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I watched that again recently just for that scene.
How
everything stops and they're all looking and all the primitive humans all of a sudden start running. And of course, Taylor and his two crewmates
have no idea what's going on.
They don't know either, so they start to follow
Right.
the herd basically because something's obviously coming. These people know. It was really well done. It was great. And I think that slow buildup lends to that because you really feel like you're panicking. You're panicking too. You don't know what's going on. Like, let's run.
And then the film hits you with that image of a gorilla on horseback.
Yeah.
Which is absurd.
It is, and we feel Charlton Heston's shock. He expresses what we're all feeling.
Yeah.
He looks too like, what?
What is happening? Right.
An ape riding a horse? Is this a circus? Like,
yeah.
What is this?
The film
Except that the ape is armed.
Yeah. Yeah. The film very quickly switches on its head, and it does so really effectively. So that shot is the moment that the film kind of hourglasses into this different...
Yeah.
It's no longer a human discovery quest. This isn't Fantastic Voyage. This is now... This is something really different.
Yeah.
We're the hunted
Survival,
in this world that they seem to have landed on.
Yeah.
This world that they're on right now, apes, primates are the dominant species.
Yeah.
And they have it arranged in 3 classes. You got gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees.
Right.
Which, that's a reflection of kind of like where we were at in the 60s in terms of what we thought like.
Yeah.
But, and in this new world, the human beings are they're not sentient.
They're just
they're animals.
Yeah, they're animals, yeah.
So,
they're hunted like animals, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That picture, that image of the apes taking that photo, like a hunting photograph, like holding up like the fish almost, is a really effective way to immediately make an audience go, oh.
So well done. And even as Taylor is in that cage, so we got to say too, because obviously Taylor can speak, but conveniently for the film, he gets shot in the neck
and can't talk
and falls, and it's a pretty bloody, realistic looking scene for 1968, where a lot of times the blood looked fake. It looked pretty real. And you also see
one of them
is killed. Yeah, he gets shot. Looks like in the back of the head, and so he can't speak obviously. But you see him being carried on a pole, and he sees other human beings being carried on poles and mounted, like not mounted, but sort of on display.
Yeah.
The way humans display
a deer.
Exactly. Yep. They're trophies.
Yeah. It's
and even and you see the little boy. Remember the gorillas coming out of the cornfield with the little boy on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And interestingly, you don't see those kids ever again. Did you notice that? You don't see any kids in Ape City. So I was always wondering.
No human kids?
No human kids, right?
I was gonna say there's a couple.
Yeah, there's ape kids, right? But you don't see the human. So there's human kids.
Ooh.
So I wonder what happens to them.
Oh, I don't want to think about it.
I know. I did read one thing because I did look it up, like what happened to the human, the human kids, and I like the idea that maybe they were put into a circus or a zoo, something like that on display also. But I don't know. You don't know because apes will eat other apes. So just throwing that out there.
I don't want to think about
it.
We just did Soil and Green. We'll be back to this again.
We're back. It all comes back to that.
Every time Charlton Heston's in a sci-fi, somebody gets eaten. Taylor luckily finds himself in the hands of a scientist. So that's Zira, played by Kim Hunter, through layers and layers of makeup by the great John Chambers.
Yes, yeah.
Who you knew more about than I did.
Yeah.
We'll get to the makeup later.
Yeah.
But Zira...
And even through the makeup, her
she's
goodness,
great.
her
she's
kindness.
Awesome.
Yeah, her eyes.
So good.
The sparkle, yeah.
Zira is fascinated by Taylor because she can tell that he's different.
Yeah.
She knows that he's smart.
And she calls him
Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, Taylor hasn't really been able to communicate with her that he can't communicate at all.
Right.
But she does know just by the way that he watches her and it seems like
yes, exactly.
she knows that
He's
there's
sort
something
of
different.
mimicking her hands as she's gesturing.
And the way that she talks to both her research team and her fiance.
Yeah.
Cornelius, played by the great Roddy McDowall, who I'm going to be talking about a lot. I love this guy so much.
Yep, he's very likable.
But what's interesting with that is her discussion to her team of like, hey, like this is a sign that like humans can actually develop intelligent thought.
She's very intrigued.
They view as borderline like.
Well, he's kind of a threat.
Heresy.
Yeah. Oh, not only that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's very threatening, and also they dismiss it like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Cornelius is a little bit different. Cornelius is not
he's an
as
archaeologist.
Yes,
and he's been searching for this sort of. It's so funny because it puts a lot of. It's almost a missing link. He's kind of. It's almost like where we were at one point. You know, looking for this missing link, and trying to figure out who's the who descended from whom. You know that whole thing. Because there was also a lot to do about evolution and Darwin, that whole theory too.
The movie is about a lot of things that aren't actually the story, which I think is really interesting.
You can read a lot into it, yeah.
And
it's much deeper and much more wide.
That's what when I first saw the film, my first thought was, "Oh, this is about race."
Yeah.
And then when I came back,
it is also about that. Right?
And then when I came back to it, I'm like, "Oh no, this is also about science and religion."
Right.
And then I came back again, and I'm like, "Oh no, wait, this is about how we erase our own history." There's so much
it's
in
amazing,
this movie.
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't even care about that or know that at the time necessarily.
It's so smart.
They're like, we just thought we were making a good Richard Zanuck, the producer. He kind of felt like so many people are reading into this. We were just trying to make a good film.
No, it's so good.
Like we didn't think about all these other contexts.
That's the best. That's the best though when it's an accident.
Yeah. But it was the 60s, which was a very tumultuous time.
That's true.
And so it's funny that he didn't even pick up on what they were saying or doing,
Eventually, Taylor communicates to Zira via writing that he is intelligent, and she takes him to her home and has Cornelius over, and they all for the first time he's able to actually communicate with them and explain who he is.
Scene too.
It's such a good
writing
scene.
on the papers,
Yep.
and he's getting annoyed with them, expressing like real human emotion.
Yeah.
Which is also ape emotion.
Yeah.
In this film.
There's an interesting line that they're drawing here, which is really interesting. Taylor, through a lot of what happens, because eventually he gets found out by the higher powers, which are the orangutans.
Yeah.
Dr. Zayas, especially.
Especially, yeah.
During this time, Taylor finds out two things. One, that the one crewmate that was killed on the landing has been stuffed and mounted in a museum.
Yeah. That was Dodge, yeah.
The other one is lobotomized.
Yeah.
Presumably because...
He doesn't know that yet, though, at this point, right? Because he has to escape first.
But presumably, he said something at some point, and they knew they had to get rid of that quick.
Yeah. Which they never show in the film, but you have to assume, he probably spoke, and they realized,
they had to get rid of him.
Yeah, we got to get rid of this. Because you could tell right away, too, Zayas knows something.
Yes, he doesn't react as surprised as he should.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
he already knows that he has to be on the move.
Yes.
He's got to cover this up somehow.
The rest of the film really deals with a lot of more of ideas than actual plot. Like, once Taylor is discovered by the higher council, it's less so much of like a story that follows and more a conflict of ideas that just continues to play out as Taylor just gets away.
Right.
End result is at the climax of the film takes place, he and Cornelius and Zira and Zira's nephew end up escaping
Lucius,
to...
I think his name is.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
To the archaeological digs where Cornelius found evidence of prior intelligent life that's not ape.
An earlier civilization, yeah.
During that conversation, Dr. Zayas shows up and reveals that he knew this was there.
He knew all along.
And this is what they're hiding.
Yeah. I love that scene too. Even
it's a really good sequence.
Taylor says to him, he says, but he knew. He knew all along. And he doesn't even want to let on even then. But he does. And I don't know how far you're going to go, but also that whole scene when they're looking at the different levels that Cornelius have been digging at, and then they find a human doll.
Yes.
And he says, would an ape have made a human doll? And then they kind of leave it at that, which doesn't make sense. And it could just be like, well, just like human babies or kids might play with an ape doll.
They even say, I know kids with human dolls.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then as they're getting ready to go, it starts to speak, and it says, Mama.
Yeah.
Which was such a great scene. And then he looks and he says, would an ape make a human doll that talks? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of blows the whole game. Good. It's a great scene, yeah.
The digs get destroyed. Zayas intentionally covers it up forever.
Have to be. He says, I have to. Yeah.
But Taylor and Nova, the human woman that they kind of give him for breeding purposes earlier in the film, he takes her and heads off into what seems like
forbidden zone.
What seems like escape.
Right.
The forbidden zone is a stretch of really desolation that in previous history, as apparently, was a really lush area.
Yeah.
And as they're traversing that area, the final wham shot of the film is
such a great scene. I wish I could see it again for the first time. But when he looks and he just says, you look at Charlton Heston, you don't see anything yet.
Yeah.
You see his expression, his reaction, and he just says, oh my God, you did it. You finally did it, and he's just stunned. And then you see like a spike. You're not sure what that is either.
My sister clocked it immediately.
Did she?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it. I still remember it. And I think, like, what is that? It's like some kind of, I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the camera
Statue of
pans
Liberty.
back and you see it's the Statue of Liberty. Yep. And he realizes, I'm home all along. I've been here.
My sister said, "Oh, so we're on Earth."
Yeah.
And I went, "That's it?"
I know.
Like, that's all you got?
I know. Jaded.
Like,
I
this
know.
was such a good twist.
It was.
What are you doing?
Especially for its time, yeah.
It's a fantastic twist.
And just to tell you real quick, in the original novel, Monkey Planet, it's similar, which is where Rod Serling got the idea, except the only difference was that in the original novel, it is a foreign planet that has become a planet of apes.
That's wild.
And the astronaut, I forget his name in the book, but he actually gets his spaceship back running, and he goes back to Earth.
Oh.
And as he lands on Earth, he sees a military jeep coming out to greet him.
It's all apes.
And it's 2 apes.
That's crazy.
It's a gorilla and an orangutan coming out to meet him, yeah.
That's crazy.
So it wasn't a big stretch from that, except that.
I like that, though.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think that was cool,
actually.
too. So there's 2 planets of the apes,
Yeah.
in that
ending.
book. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was a good twist.
So that's the plot, such as it is, and it's become iconic over the years. A couple lines, especially Charlton Heston's got quite some line deliveries in this puppy.
Yeah.
I'm in the camp of people who think Charlton Heston is a ham, but who enjoys him anyway.
Yeah, me too. I think he's hammy. I think his acting sometimes seems like it's maybe better for a stage setting.
I think so. Yeah, he's definitely going to the back for the back row.
Yeah, he does. Right, exactly. He emotes. He's very clear. But I think he's great in this. I don't think he's overdoing it in this one either. I thought he was actually pretty good in this.
Yeah.
I've seen him in others where he's a little hammy. I thought he was great in this. Yeah, and this was a whole different take for him because he had been, he'd been Ben-Hur, he'd been
Moses.
Yeah, and now he's suddenly just an astronaut.
That's primarily what I know him from. Actually, was the biblical epics.
Yeah,
I primarily and historically, he's due to Ben-Hur for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, me too. And here he's now Taylor, and then he did Soylent Green, the Omega Man. So this was his turn into science
We should probably
fiction.
do the Omega Man to kind of round out the trilogy.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the start of his sci-fi run. That unofficial Charlton Heston sci-fi trilogy.
Yeah.
And while I think he's great in this, I think that he's being kind of, he's getting the daylights acted out of him by his co-stars in full ape makeup.
Yeah. Which is really crazy too.
It is crazy. That makeup is so good, and we talked about briefly. John Chambers did the makeup.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And other things that we might know him from, you mentioned before we started recording, he is the brains behind Spock's ears on Star Trek.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of his practice doing prosthetic
for,
makeup for World War II veterans, which is also crazy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
He was also involved in Phantom of the Paradise, Halloween 2, and was uncredited for help on Jaws and Blade Runner.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is the most interesting about the makeup in this is how well the actors are able to emote and speak through the makeup. The makeup is not it's not a gimmick. You're not here to watch ooh, look at these effects. Yeah. These are characters that you're watching.
Yeah. And you're believing.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm amazed that, it's called prognathid, when your jaw sticks out further than your like an ape feature. And the idea that you're even moving. Think about how difficult that must be. That's why they had to really over exaggerate every emotion. So if you're going to say a word, you have to really, behind that makeup, you're making a huge mouth opening wide. You have to make really, because you only see a small motion because it comes out a couple inches away from your face even.
Yeah.
So it was all done with latex, and it's just amazing. It's like practical effects. I mean.
Oh yeah.
And it was groundbreaking for its time.
And at no point does it take you out of the movie. We're now talking, we're several years after this now. And even from this standpoint, there's no point where I'm sitting there going, that looks fake.
No, I know. You still watch it, and you're still amazed.
It is.
You're like,
wow, it's good stuff.
Really well done.
Part of it, too, is the actors that they chose for those roles. We talked about Kim Hunter, who I think her eyes
are so
behind
expressive,
that makeup.
Just kindness in her eyes.
And just this huge excitement of that I'm learning something for the first time. She's so invested in Taylor.
Yeah.
And how it goes from that scientific curiosity, I care about you because you're an experiment that I'm interested in, to okay, you're a person and I'm now acknowledging you as a person.
Right.
It's so interesting to watch the relationship, especially at the end. Actually, it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite bits of the movie.
For a kiss?
Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, but you're so ugly."
I know, I love that. Yeah.
And I I have mentioned.
And even when he shaves, and she doesn't like the way he looks.
He was worse now that he shaves.
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
they say.
yeah.
Somehow makes you look less intelligent.
Yes, yeah, which is funny. And on Earth, they're on Earth, but with human beings, it's usually the other way. The beard sometimes adds to like Lincoln. Sometimes, yeah.
There's this
intelligence.
And Ryan McDowell is another example who, again, I will speak praises of endlessly. His work of... Because he's kind of writing that cynic line.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to believe in Zira.
He's
and
not
her
like
work,
Zira, no.
But he's not quite like her. No. And he's skeptical of...
And he's also fearful. She's fearless.
He's getting in trouble
He's
already.
afraid, they're going to end up, throwing us in jail or worse. You got to watch. You got to tread very carefully, especially around the apes.
Yes.
And she's fearless.
Yeah, I love how much I kind of get the idea that they really do care about each other.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like the relationship.
It's a very real relationship.
Yeah,
it really is.
I love them.
Yeah.
Even Zira's nephew, Lucius, you mentioned. I think he's a riot.
Yes, and he sort of represents most of the kids from the '60s.
Never trust anybody over 30.
Exactly. Yeah. And they do incorporate a lot of famous lines in there too.
Yes.
Which I thought was also really well done. Good script writing.
That's Dr. Zaius, played by
Morris
Evans, who
Morris
I believe
Evans.
I only really knew from Bewitched.
Yeah, right. I know.
I didn't really know him from much else.
It's funny when you see them in the makeup. It's hard to remember if you knew them from anything else.
He's good in this.
He's very good. Yeah.
And I think he's playing. I think the character that can be the most easily labeled as the antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what Taylor is, and he even takes him aside after this kangaroo court situation where he basically pleads with him. You're going to destroy our way of life just by existing. I can't let you.
Yeah, he's sorry. He says, I'm sorry, but I can't let you live. It's just...
Yeah, because you're a threat to everything we stand for.
You are, yep, exactly, yep.
And I think what's so interesting about Dr. Zaius is Dr. Zaius is the mouthpiece through which most of the problems and most of the social commentary comes.
Yeah.
The beginning of the film, this isn't like this great exploration. Like Star Trek, I think, is an exploration of humanity through the eyes of the aliens. It's like, let's take a look at, use science fiction, look at how wonderful human beings are. Planet of the Apes is a scathing commentary of you will destroy yourselves.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
In fact, if you don't mind, if I can I wrote it down because that one line when he tells Cornelius to read from the sacred scrolls about man. Mm-hmm. And I'll just read it in full. It's short, but it's fitting. I mean, and this is, script writers, they put in the words of the apes, things that they are really feeling.
Yeah.
And he says, beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. Alone among God's primates, he kills for sport or lust or greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers, for he will make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him, drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death. Mm-hmm. And the whole point is, Taylor, there's no evidence of that. Like, why would you think that? And Taylor even says, well, I don't see any evidence of that. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to, he thinks he's helping them solve their mystery. They're trying to figure out, like, where do we come from? How did this all begin? Mm-hmm. Which kind of parallels, people on Earth at the time. Mm-hmm. Human beings on Earth at the time.
Sure.
And then when he goes out at the end, they let him leave, and he goes out into the Forbidden Zone, and, Zaius says to him, be careful what you look for. You may not like what you find. Mm-hmm. And it's a very serious warning. Mm-hmm. Because he knows what he's going to find. And then when Zira even says, what will he find, Doctor? And he says, his destiny. Mm-hmm. And it's true. I'm still so, even as I'm talking about it, I'm like, man, it's so good. I still kind of feel like I did when I first saw it.
So at the time in the 60s, like, it was a weird time to write a movie, especially if you wanted to be, like, thoughtful about it. This was the time the Hollywood blacklist was still going on. There was a big Red Scare happening. Yeah. The commie hunt was still in full swing. Yeah. You had to be careful about what you wanted to say. Yeah. And the safest way to say what you wanted to was put it in the mouths of other people.
Exactly. Yep. It's always the easiest way. Yeah.
So
get your point
a lot of the...
Or other apes.
Yeah.
Primates. Yeah.
A lot of the commentary at the time is being filtered through this abstract discussion. We can talk about this because it's not happening here. It's not happening to us.
Right. Don't get mad at me. The ape said it.
Yeah. So a lot of the discussions...
I love humans.
Yeah. A lot of the discussions are paralleling big controversial issues at the time. Like this was around the time that they were taking out, like, really there was like a big uproar about the place of religion in schools. Right. And Dr. Zaius, interestingly, is both the leader of the church and the leader of their science.
Right.
And that's kind
Minister
of
of Science.
Yes, and that's not necessarily portrayed as a bad thing. The thing that's bad about that is how it can influence each other if you let it.
Clearly, and they do show that.
Yeah, and he's not perfect. He's not portrayed as being necessarily like intentionally villainous. He's doing what he thinks is right, but he's also doing what he thinks is going to protect both him and the society that he thinks would benefit from this.
Exactly. Yeah.
In reality, the film is telling its audience, to me, truth is important, even if you don't like it what you find.
Yeah.
It's ugly, but you need to hear it.
Right.
And that extends, that extends to in the realm of religion as well. I'm freely, my faith has been. I have no conflict between my faith and science.
Right.
And that was an argument that was happening at the time.
Right.
So I think that's a really interesting lens to look at this film too.
Yeah. And it's funny because even as he's saying, well, even if that's the point, he does end up blowing up that whole cave at the end.
Yep.
Because it has to. He says, "I'm sorry, but it has to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
I have no choice."
You have to be clear-minded on both.
Right. Yeah.
And then there is, of course, the fact that Taylor, at the beginning of the film, Taylor's not a fan of humanity either.
No.
He doesn't like us.
That's why he left. Yeah.
Yeah.
They make it, and again, in that long intro when they're walking through the desert, they have this discussion. He and Landon primarily.
Yeah.
And it is about that. Like I wanted, Landon's very proud that I wanted to go out and learn. I wanted to see what's out here. You're not a seeker. You didn't want to learn anything. You left because you hated people.
Yep.
And
he's like, "Yep, I sure did."
He did. He doesn't even deny it. He says, "Yeah, I just can't help but feel that there's something better than man out there."
Ironically, when he's alone and when he's finally surrounded by it, like no actual other human beings, he finally starts to really understand what's unique about humanity.
Yes, exactly.
And what he misses about it.
And then he misses it right away. Yeah.
And that's one of the ick portions that kind of people get stuck on in hindsight, especially, is relationship with Nova, because Nova is introduced as she's a dumb animal. Yeah. And that doesn't change. Right. She's he's
having a hard time. He even says in one part, "Look, I taught you to smile."
Yeah,
and it's not a very friendly smile.
No, he's
just
so
mimicking.
He's not even condescending. It's just like this weird, broken, cynical, like this. I don't even know what to do anymore. I'm totally alone. Yeah. The closest thing I can have to company are a different species. Right. And those that are my species, I can't communicate with.
Not at all. No.
It's just.
And he doesn't like them either.
No.
I mean, he looks at them,
like animals.
Like animals, yeah.
Which so do
and
the
they're
apes.
Thrown together, and they're in the cages together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of obviously the men especially, they don't like him either. Mm-hmm. They can tell he's different. And there's even that scene that was great when they're out in that outdoor cage. Yeah. And he's trying to write to Dr. Zayas. He starts to write, "I can write." And it's funny. I thought about that too. Just recently for the first time, Nova keeps erasing what he's writing. Yep. And I thought it was just because she's an animal, doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering, was she trying to protect him? Because she knows he'd be in trouble if they see that. So
I don't know if she had enough awareness.
Because she wouldn't have seen anyone else do that. I was just saying,
yeah.
Because if she saw someone else do that and get in trouble, but she couldn't have seen that.
No.
So it probably was just being sort of animalistic. She sees him writing and she's just
scribbling on the ground
over
too.
it. Yeah. And he gets mad at her, and then he ends up having a fight with this other guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. It's
a great. It's another great lens you can look at this through is animal cruelty. That was getting big at the time too. That defense. Yeah. And the way that
section, that's what they were scheduling them for.
It's uncomfortable watching that movie. You're like, oh,
it is. Ugh. Yeah, because again, it's a lens at us too, because then it makes you think like, ooh, that's what we do.
We've done that to people. Yeah. We've done that to people.
Right. Yes.
Depending on what group you're in.
Yeah. Especially in World War II. Yeah.
The biggest lens of indictment that this film levels at, there's two big ones that gets read into the most now. The one is that of race, that of viewing others as lower than yourself, and it's beyond the humans versus ape dynamic. It's also within the ape circle itself.
There's a famous anecdote from that film. You hear it repeated all the time about how during lunch breaks the chimps always sat with the chimps, gorillas sat with the gorillas. The humans sat with the humans, and they would kind of look at it. I heard Charlton Heston talking about it, saying like, I don't know why. We all did. You just kind of go with the people who look like you. And that is kind of human nature. You're going to be drawn to the people that you feel a connection to. Mm-hmm. And
they don't talk about it a lot in this movie. They touch on it more in the sequels. Yeah. The idea that there is that divide in this world that okay, orangutans are higher than chimps, which are higher than gorillas. Gorillas are kind of like the muscle, the goons.
They are, yeah, they really are.
Which, I love the design of the gorillas.
Oh, me too.
I think that's a really great design.
Every scene they're in, I love, yeah. And they're featured even more in the first sequel, Beneath Planet of the Apes. And really, every one after that. Yep. Which I liked. I liked them. They were interesting characters, too.
There's a lot to be explored in that world, and I think that's why they made so many sequels.
Yeah.
You can do a lot in that playground. There's a ton to explore.
Yeah, and you do have that sort of where you can't be blamed necessarily. You know,
exactly.
Like, hey, this is just the apes. This is, whatever you're thinking, that's what you're reading into.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
The other big one that people like to talk about is the nuclear option that's going on in this film.
Right.
This is in this universe, we destroyed ourselves in a nuclear World War III.
Right.
That's why we're here. That's why the what is it? The Forbidden Zone.
Yeah.
That's why it's desolate. We nuked ourselves to death. And
we don't even know if it's World War III.
No, it could be World War VII.
Could have been. Yeah, it could have been. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But the concept that with our own like nuclear weapons, our own hubris, really, we've doomed ourselves to extinction because we couldn't get along with our fellow man.
Yep. And yet the apes seem to be almost heading on that same path.
Exactly.
And they just don't know that. Maybe it's human nature or primate nature or whatever, because they also have that class division, sort of a caste system. They're belligerent. You know, the apes are belligerent for sure. And as we know in the sequels, they're taking us right down that same path.
It's an interesting reflection.
It really is, yeah. I mean, it's very thoughtful. For a film about apes,
it's really good.
Yeah, with the title like Planet of the Apes, you wouldn't expect such deep thinking plots, you know?
That's what I fell in love with when I watched this. It wasn't like I loved the makeup and I loved the performances, but I fell in love with the idea that this movie was asking me a whole bunch of questions.
It was, yeah. And it doesn't give you any easy answers.
No.
You really kind of have to think about it yourself.
And we've talked before on this podcast, that's my favorite movie, the one that gives you a whole bunch of questions and then doesn't give me an answer.
Yeah.
Figure it out for yourself. What do you think?
And this, like you said, there's so many different angles going on, you know? It really touches on so much of human society. Especially for the 60s, which were so turbulent. 68.
Yeah, it was a big turning point.
Wars. Second one, too, is almost a parallel of, the pro-war factions in our country, you know?
This is happening right at the time. Vietnam was still going on at this point.
Yeah.
Woodstock is a year away. We're in the middle of the space race. Like, there's a lot of expansion happening in our country in the 1960s. It was a great. That's why it was such a big boom era for sci-fi.
Right.
All of a sudden, the sky was the limit. You could do anything.
Yeah.
And the one thing I think I love the most about 60s science fiction, especially, is they took that and they ran. I love Star Trek for its optimism and its same thing. Its commitment to exploring humanity through the lenses that they wouldn't be able to if they were just stuck on Earth.
Right.
The difference is Gene Roddenberry's vision for Star Trek was such an optimistic, like, we can do anything, like, if we just pull ourselves together. Right. Planet of the Apes says, you guys are going to destroy yourselves and you don't have any idea.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Which is a pessimistic way to end that
movie. It is. Oh, yeah. It really is. I mean, it's the kind of movie when the lights come up, it's just quiet.
You're just sitting there like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. Like, oh, boy.
But this is one of the movie endings of all time. Like, this gets mentioned on a lot of lists.
Oh, yeah. Especially, again, you have to think of it at the time, you know? There's nothing else like this. And it's amazing how well it still works. The makeup, the story, it's just the acting, it's really, and the music, again, just so good.
The story is, like, you know, we mentioned that Rod Serling it was involved in this. I think, honestly, like, his work on The Twilight Zone is the same thing. He's also a guy who's really interested in the human condition, what we're like in the dark. Yeah. And
not really just putting it out there.
No.
He does it through metaphor, and you know, he wasn't blacklisted, but he
which
might
surprises
have been
me.
Close. Yeah, he could have been close, but he wrote that way, which is probably why he never was, because he didn't really just come out and say it.
Yeah, he's smart.
It's a little more thought provoking.
Disguise it.
Yeah, you might even, and I love that, because you can watch something and say, "Oh, that was great," and then someone can say, "Did you know it was a parallel for this?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Really? I didn't even think of that." That's even better.
And that's one thing I really like about his work, and this specifically. Like, we talked, like, a couple episodes ago, we talked about Soylent Green. That one's pretty obviously, like, this is a little bit more subtle and a little bit more disguised and, like, popcorn.
Yeah,
you're having
that one
a good
doesn't
time.
really pull its punches.
No, it's like you're all gonna die.
Yeah. You know exactly where they're going with that one.
I'm curious to see the Omega Man.
You're all gonna die, and then we're gonna eat you.
Yeah, basically. I'm actually really curious to see the Omega Man now, because that's only one of the three of them I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
But see if that's any less optimistic. Probably not.
Oh, well, no, I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, we'll talk about that another time.
So yeah, this was produced by Arthur Jacobs and Richard Zanuck. As you said, the screenplay was written by Pierre Boulle, Rod Serling and Michael Wilson, who was blacklisted. So a lot of the, especially in the scene with when Taylor is brought before the council.
Yeah.
He put a lot of his own feelings
I
from the
bet.
blacklisting in there, you know. And Michael Wilson had also done Bridge on the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia.
Yep.
Quite a resume. Directed, as you mentioned, by Franklin Schaffner, who did Patton and The Boys from Brazil and Papillon. And let's talk about Jerry Goldsmith.
Oh my gosh, please.
This was the first completely atonal score in a Hollywood movie, which means it really is. You're not going to dance to this.
No,
you know?
it's
You can't even snap your fingers to it. It was deliberate. He used so many different things like tin pans.
Yeah.
You know, and or pots and pans, whichever. And he wanted to be sort of jarring and unnerving, and it is. It really is. And it's always there. Sometimes you're not even aware, and all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, it's like, isn't it music?
Yeah.
There? It's like there's one part too which I love where it sounds like apes. You know, it's
yeah,
just
I know
a
what
sound.
you mean.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he used, I forget, there's a Brazilian instrument that I think it can simulate 7 different voice ranges or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think it was that kind of an instrument where it sounds like apes going like, and you feel like you're going crazy, like you're in an ape house.
It's a
or
good
a nut house. Yeah,
good score.
Very good. And he, of course, he kind of exploded after this. This was one of his first films, and did a great job with that.
And those of you who that name sounds familiar, he did the score for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which was reused as a theme for Next Generation. Mm-hmm. He also did the score for Joe Dante's films, Gremlins and Inner Space and The Burbs, all of them. Mm-hmm. He also did the Rambo movies. He scored those.
He did so much work.
Yeah, and I'm missing a big one, aren't I?
I can't think of
Hoosiers.
I'm trying to remember.
He scored a lot.
Yeah. I think some of his scores have even been used by Quentin Tarantino.